A very good morning, dear students. Today we have with us Ms. Remya K, lecturer in Commerce, EKNM Government Polytechnic College, Trikaripur, to handle a class on non-banking financial operations. She has done her UG in BCom from Pioneer College and PG in MCom from Sir Said College, Taliparamba. She is also UGC NET qualified. She has a teaching experience of 8 years and since 2018 she is working as lecturer in GPTC Trikaripur. Welcome you, madam, for the session. Handing over to you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Good morning, one and all, respected panel members, other faculties, and my dear students. In this session, I would like to deal with non-banking financial institutions, which is included in the second module of non-banking financial operations. Let us begin the class. And this session includes introductory part, meaning and definition, nature or features of non-banking financial institutions, functions or importance or role, difference between non-banking financial institutions and banks, the classification of non-banking financial institutions. On the completion of this session, student will be able to say an idea about non-banking financial operations. As we know, as far as a country is concerned, the financial system plays a crucial role in the economic development since it connects the savers and investors. That means the financial system channelizes the savings from savers to productive purposes and thereby making wealth in the economy. The system facilitates the flow of funds from savers to investors and thereby creation of wealth in the hands of savers and the development of both the parties. That means the financial system, if an economy has a good financial system, it channelizes the surplus funds to those persons who have deficit funds. So when we traced the major elements of financial system, we can identify mainly four elements. Major elements are first one, financial services, second one, financial assets, third one, financial market, and fourth one, financial intermediaries. The financial services means those things which are intangible in the financial markets. Means these services we can't identify. Sorry, only we can identify, we can't touch and see it. For example, banking services, merchant banking services. The second element is financial assets or financial instruments. These are the tangible things which are traded in the financial markets. For example, shares, debentures, bonds, government securities, etc. The third one is financial market. Financial market is the place where financial assets are bought and sold. That is where we are purchasing the financial securities. That place is known as financial market. I think all of you well versed with the term financial market. For example, capital market, money market, stock market, etc. And financial intermediaries. Financial intermediaries are those financial institutions which connects the deficit and surplus money. That means, as in the introductory part, I pointed out the financial system act as a link between savers and borrowers. So, through the financial intermediaries or financial institutions, the system connects the savers and borrowers. I will give a simple example. Two parties A and B, and A and B earned income. Out of the income, A saved a certain sum of money, but B has deficit fund. We need some money from A. In such cases, the financial institution act as a link between A and B. From A, the financial system accepts the savings in the form of deposits, and on such acceptance, the system provides, means the institution provides a certain sum of interest. And after accepting the savings from A, it is lended to B. That means the money is borrowed by B from the financial institution. That is acting as a link between the savers and investors. On this transaction, the interest provided on the acceptance and the interest charged on the borrowings, the financial institution make it profit. And the best example is to financial institution is banks. They're acting as a link between the savers and borrowers. So the financial institutions are broadly classified into two categories, that is banking institutions and non-banking institutions. So now come to the topic non-banking financial institutions, non-banking financial companies, non-banking financial intermediaries. So, meaning, in layman's language, non-banking financial institution simply means a financial institution. Simply means a financial institution that carries some financial activities, similar with banks. These are financial institutions which are carrying activities similar with banking activities, but they are not banks. Okay, these are financial institutions carrying financial activities similar with banks, but these are not banks. Or we can say these are doing banking business without holding a banking license. As far as India is concerned, in order to carry the banking business, every bank has to obtain license from RBI. So these institutions are doing banking business without holding a banking business, without holding a banking license. Then definition. Number of definitions are there. I just quoted the definition given in Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. It defines a non-banking financial company as is a financial institution which is a company. It is a financial institution which is the company. The second one is that it's a non-banking institution, not in the nature of banks. These are non-banking institutions which is in the nature of company and doing its principal business as the receiving of deposits under any scheme, arrangement or any other manner. These are doing banking business as in the nature of receiving deposits. While receiving such deposit, this may be under any scheme or arrangement or any other manner. Here this means either in the form of lump sum amount or in the form of installment or by way of subscription. The deposit may be accepted in lump sum. Sometimes it may be in the form of lump sum amount. Sometimes it may be in the form of installment, or sometimes it may be in the form of subscriptions or lending any manner. Okay, that is a non-banking financial institution which is a company and which as its principal business the receiving of deposits under any scheme or arrangement or in any other manner or lending in any manner, or sometimes it may be undertaking receiving a deposit plus borrowings. In certain cases just engaged in lending of money. And third one is that such other non-banking institutions or class of such institutions, as the Reserve Bank may think it is better to include such institutions under non-banking financial institutions with prior approval from central government and by notification in the official gazette. RBI include such institutions under non-banking financial companies. Okay, all of you clear? Once more, which is a non-banking financial institutions or financial institution in the nature of company, means it is registered as per Indian Companies Act 1956 or 2013 Act. Now we have 2013 Act. So whatever may be the Companies Act, it is a company which is registered as per Indian Companies Act. And second one is that is a company doing its principal business of receiving deposits under any scheme, arrangement or any other manner or lending in any manner. Third is any class of such institutions or group of institutions, the central bank may think it is better to include under this category through an official gazette and approval from central government, it is included there. Then some of the examples of non-banking financial companies: NABARD, Muthoot, LIC Finance Corporation, Housing Finance, etc. Then next topic is nature or features of non-banking financial companies. Based on the meaning and definition, we are deriving certain features. It is an exclusive list. I pointed out just some more points there. And first one is that registration with RBI is mandatory. To function as like a non-banking financial company, registration with RBI is compulsory. So while registering with RBI, the institution must have an owned capital, owned fund of 200 lakhs or 2 crore. That is a statutory condition. In order to register with RBI, the owned fund must be 200 lakhs or 2 crore. Second is that all the NBFCs are not entitled to accept public deposits. Means we are classifying these NBFCs into different groups. So all NBFCs are not entitled to accept public deposit. Some of them are excluded while accepting public deposits. The third one is that NBFCs are allowed to accept or renew public deposit for a minimum period of 12 months and a maximum period of 60 months. That means while accepting deposit from public, NBFCs have to accept the deposit for a minimum period of 12 months. Less than 12 months, it is not considered. The minimum period allowed is 1 year. And the maximum period of deposit is 60 months. On the expiry of 60 months, either we can renew the deposit or repay the deposits. Okay, both can be done, either renewing or repaying. The third one is that they can't accept deposit repayable on demand. Since there is a time period on accepting public deposit, minimum 12 months and maximum 60 days. So it is not allowed to accept demand deposit. In the case of bank can accept demand deposit, fixed deposit, current deposit, etc. But here it is restricted. That is, in the case of demand deposit, that can be repayable when the depositor demanded the repayment. So NBFCs cannot allow to accept demand deposits. The next point is that, as we know, RBI from every 6 months formulating its monetary policies. In the month of October and in the month of February, RBI formulated the monetary policy, and based on such monetary policy, the banks, commercial banks, formulated their interest rate. So, in the case of NBFCs, while accepting deposit, they are offering an interest rate. That interest rate never be higher than the ceiling rate prescribed by RBI. In the case of non-banking financial companies, RBI prescribed a limit. Now the rate is 11%. That may be changed from time to time, depending upon the situation in the environment. There may be change in the interest rate. But here, there is a ceiling rate prescribed by RBI. So, rate must be maximum rate allowed is rate prescribed by RBI. Now it is 11%. The next point is that it can't offer additional gift, incentives, or any other additional benefits to the depositor. That means in order to accept deposit from the investors, the institution cannot offer additional gifts or incentive or any other things. The next point is that NBFCs accept certain asset finance companies. AFCs means asset finance companies should have a minimum investment grade credit rating. That means in the case of NBFCs, they have to maintain a credit rating from a competing authority in respect of repayment of deposit plus payment of interest. So every NBFCs except AFCs, they have to obtain a minimum investment grade credit rating. The next point is that the deposit with NBFCs are not insured. That means if we are making deposit with banks, it is covered under the insurance facility of Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation of India Limited. That is insured if a bank made any default or it is lost from the bank. The deposit by the depositor is safe in the banks. But in the case of NBFCs, these are not insured. If it is lost, it is lost. Okay. The next point is that the repayment deposit with NBFCs, they are not guaranteed by RBI. The repayment is never guaranteed by RBI. If any default is made by the NBFCs, the depositor can approach company law board or consumer forum or file a civil suit to recover the deposit. That means no guarantee is provided by RBI on the repayment of deposit with NBFCs. If the NBFCs made any default while repaying the deposit, they are not ready to repay your deposits, then the customer depositor can approach either company law board. Since it is registered as per Indian Companies Act, the grievance may be settled by company law board. The second is consumer forum. In order to settle the consumer grievances, you can approach consumer forums. Or these two are not satisfied, then the depositor can file a suit to recover the deposits. Okay. Then next element is functions or role or importance. This can be written in different headings, separate heading, functions of NBFCs, role of NBFCs, that can be written in different separate headings. Now I quoted in one heading. Okay, question is asked from role. Then you can write the same point. If it is functions, you can rewrite in the form of functions. And the importance, so you can rewrite in the form of importance. The first point is that development of sectors like transport and infrastructure. The NBFCs, their main activity is accepting deposit and providing or lending of such deposit, lending of such money. They're doing financial activities as similar with banks. NBFCs are doing financial activities as similar with banks. But bank has its own limit while lending in infrastructure to develop infrastructure facilities or to lend while constructing a new road or bridges, etc. In such cases, the NBFCs are ready to lend their funds constructing transportation facilities or making some infrastructure facilities in the economy. Second one is that substantial employment generation. As far as India is concerned, we are lacking industrial units. Number of reasons are there. The main important reason is lack of financial resources. So, if an industrial unit is opened, it is possible to provide employment opportunities not to the owner but also to some other persons. So, in such cases, the NBFCs are ready to grant loans and advances to such industrial unit and thereby creating employment generation in the economy. Then third one is that help and increase wealth creation. As already pointed out, the financial institutions as a whole, whether taking banking institution or non-banking institution, as a whole, it generate wealth in the economy through the process of making a flow of funds from surplus hand to deficit hands. The financial institution creates a flow. From these flow, the monies are flowing from the surplus hand to deficit hands. So if the surplus hand is ready to lend the amount, they can earn additional income. And also, if the deficit hand is borrowing such amount, they are generating additional income in order to pay the interest rate and also to earn something for them. So it helps and increase wealth in the economy. And fourth one is that broad-based economic development. The development of NBFCs focused on a wide scope, not on a narrow scope. That means in India is concerned, certain rural areas or urban people, they are not ready to take bank loans. Instead of that, they are taking borrowings from their nearer people. In such case, the economic development may be affected much. In such cases, the NBFCs are ready to identify such urban areas, means those person who does not have any access to banking sector or financial sector. They're considering such element and they are providing advances to, they're providing loans and advances to such sector. So thereby focusing on broad-based economic development. This can be attained on the final stage. Then next point is that to finance economically weaker section, as already pointed out, some of the people or certain group is not ready to take loans and advances from financial institution, and they are taking loans and advances from nearer people. So in such cases, the NBFCs identified such a weaker section and are ready to provide small financial assistance. The last one is that mobilization of savings. Here, the financial institutions mainly mobilizes the savings from savers. If the person who has surplus money, that surplus money is taken by the financial institutions and channelizing into productive purposes. I think all of you are versed with this and clear. And next is that bank versus NBFCs. These two terms are come under financial institution, bank as well as non-banking financial companies. These two are come under financial institutions and doing banking business or financial activities. Bank as well as NBFCs. These two are dealing with financial activities. Still, these two are entirely different. So, what are the differences between these two? Number of definitions are there. So, I begin with the meaning. In the case of banks, banks are those financial institutions which accept deposits, and this may be payable either through checks or demand by the deposit. Then NBFCs, these are companies carrying financial business. Banks are doing banking business and NBFCs are doing financial business. So the financial business includes banking activity also. Okay. In case of banks, they are doing banking business. The banking business is in the nature of accepting deposit from general public and providing loans and advances. So, but NBFCs are in the nature of companies and they are doing financial business, which includes banking business also. Then second difference is scope of business. In the case of banks, the scope is limited. But in the case of NBFCs, the scope is wide since the bank undertakes only banking activities, accepting deposit, and out of the deposit, they are providing loans and advances. That is the main activity, primary activity undertaken by banks. In addition to these, some other secondary activities are also there. But in the case of NBFCs, they are doing financial business or they are doing financial activities, which includes banking activities also. So the scope of activity in the case of non-banking financial companies are wide. Third difference is that bank can accept demand deposit. The deposit of banks may be in the nature of fixed deposit, demand deposit means savings deposit, current deposits, recurrent deposits, etc. But in the case of NBFCs, they can't accept demand deposit. There is a time period allowed by Reserve Bank of India while accepting deposit. Minimum period is 12 months and maximum is 60 months. So they can't accept demand deposit, which is repayable on demand. In the case of demand deposit, the repayment when the depositor demand the repayment, the bank has to provide the money. So NBFCs, it is not possible to pay when the depositor demand the repayment. That's a time period. On the expiry of the time period, they can repay the amount. The fourth one is that banks form homogeneous group doing banking activities or banking business. NBFCs forms heterogeneous group. They are doing different financial activities. In the case of banks, every banks, for example, SBI, Canara Bank, Punjab National Bank, South Indian Bank, Federal Bank, if we take all these banks, all are doing banking business. So come under common name banks. But in the case of NBFCs, there are a number of NBFCs are there. They're doing different activities. So they never come under one group. They are forming a heterogeneous group. Heterogeneous means different groups, not a same group. The next difference is that the deposit under banks, it is covered under the deposit insurance facility of Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation of India. In the case of NBFCs, the deposits are not insured. Means this facility is not available in the case of deposit with NBFCs. If a deposit is made with SBI, it is insured. There's an insurance coverage. But in the case of NBFCs, that facility is not available. The next point is that regulatory bodies, the banking business are regulated by Banking Regulation Act 1949 and the guidelines provided by RBI from time to time. These two things are regulated the banking business in India. Banking Regulation Act 1949 plus the regulation made by RBI from time to time. I already pointed out every 6 months RBI make monetary policies. These monetary policies regulated the banking activities. In the case of NBFCs, these are regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India, Companies Act, RBI, etc. That means the Securities and Exchange Board of India, this is the apex authority while controlling the activities in stock market. Companies Act, NBFCs are in the nature of companies. So the provisions contained in the Companies Act regulate its activities. Plus RBI regulations. Then next point is that in the case of bank, they can draw checks in its own name. Bank can draw checks in its own name. For example, if a person make deposit with SBI and the depositor is demanding checkbook, so bank is providing checkbook. On the top, it is printed SBI, State Bank of India, this branch. That is possible in the case of banks. But in the case of NBFC, it is not possible to draw a check in its own name. If it is requiring a check in its own name, can opt bank check. The next difference is that the banks forms a part of payment and settlement mechanism. But NBFCs do not form a part of payment and settlement mechanism. This means that if two persons, A and B, A has a debt with B for rupees 50,000. So in order to pay 50,000 to B, A draws a check in favor of B to pay Mr. B this much of amount, and it is signed by A. If the check drawn by A is presented by B to B with a bank, the bank is ready to pay the amount which is written in the check. So bank forming part of payment and settlement mechanism in the economy. But these NBFCs, they are not forming part of it. And finally, banks are doing banking business by holding a banking license. In order to do banking business in India, every bank has to obtain a license from RBI. But in the case of non-banking financial companies, they are doing banking business without holding banking license. These are the major differences. Then you can add some other points also. Then next is types or classification of NBFCs. When we pointed out the types or classification of NBFCs, we can see number of classifications. It is classified in number of ways. So I here pointed out only the formal classification. Classification which is provided by RBI. That's only pointed out here. So the Reserve Bank Amendment Act 1997, RBI Amendment Act 1997 classified the NBFCs into 8 categories. First one is that equipment leasing company hire purchase finance company, housing finance company, investment company, loan companies, and mutual benefit companies. Once more, equipment leasing company, hire purchase finance company, housing finance company, investment company, loan companies, and and mutual benefit company, then residuary non-banking financial companies, and last one, miscellaneous non-banking financial companies. Then we can see one by one. First one, equipment leasing company. Before that, is there is any question, Jyotish Miss?
മാഡം ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ഉള്ളത്, വാട്ട് ഈസ് മെൻ ബൈ ഈ നോൺ ബാങ്കിങ് ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ഓപ്പറേഷൻസ്? നോൺ ബാങ്കിങ് ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ ഓപ്പറേഷൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താണ്?
These are the activities, those which are done by non-banking financial companies. As already pointed out, the whole financial system has four elements. One is financial services, financial markets, financial assets, and financial institutions. These four elements in total we can call as financial system. Those activities done by financial institutions, that is known as financial activities. When it is done by the non-banking financial companies, as already pointed out, non-banking financial institutions or intermediaries are those financial institutions which are doing some financial activities which are similar with banking activities, but they are not holding banking. So those activities which are done by non-banking financial companies, we can simply known as or simply called as non-banking financial operations. Both these two, the banks as well as non-banking financial intermediaries, these two are required in a financial system. Okay. Miss, it is clear?
ഓക്കെ മിസ്, ക്യാൻ കണ്ടിന്യൂ. വേറെ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഒന്നുമില്ല.
Okay. Then types or classification. The Reserve Bank Amendment Act 1997 classified the NBFCs mainly into 8 categories. Here, first one is that equipment leasing company. Equipment leasing company. As the name implies, its principal business. Equipment leasing company primarily engaged in leasing of equipment. I will give an example. As far as India is concerned, there are a number of industrial undertakings are there. Some of them are doing their best, and some are on an average basis, and some others they are sick units. The main problem or main limitation is they are not in a position to acquire equipment by incurring a huge amount of capital. In such cases, these non-banking financial institutions, equipment leasing company, otherwise ELC, these are ready to lease such transactions. They are providing finance to leasing of equipment. In the case of leasing, we are purchasing huge equipment by paying a down payment and a periodical amount plus interest, not paying the cost of the equipment in lump sum. Here, there is a opportunity or there is a chance to acquire this equipment, not paying the cost of the equipment. We are taking on lease basis for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. We are taking the equipments and we are using in our business. And on such usage, we are paying some amount. So here, the equipment leasing companies, they are ready to finance such activities, or they are leasing equipments. In certain cases, they are providing financial assistance if an organization is taking equipment on lease basis. In certain cases, they are directly providing equipment on lease basis. That is equipment leasing company. And second one is that hire purchase finance company. Second one is hire purchase finance company. Here, hire purchase finance companies, they are directly or indirectly engaging in hire purchase transactions. Either they are directly involving in hire purchase transaction, or in certain cases they are financing such transactions. In the case of hire purchase transaction also, they are not paying the amount in lump sum. Instead of that, we are paying a down payment, that is an initial amount, and plus installment amount. Periodically, we are paying a certain sum of money plus interest. So on that basis, we are taking some assets. In the case of hire purchase transaction, the possession and ownership only on the last payment of installment amount. So here the NBFCs are providing loans and advances to hire purchase transaction, or they are directly engaged in hire purchase transactions. The third one, housing finance companies. Housing finance companies. These are those financial institutions, those non-banking financial institutions who are financing housing projects. We can take a best example, HDFC Bank. They are providing loans and advances to housing projects. Number of examples are there. LIC Housing Finance. Their main activity is to provide housing loans to individuals or group of individuals. Then investment companies. Investment companies are those companies which has the primary activity of acquiring securities. They are dealing in acquisition of securities. On behalf of the depositor, they are acquiring some securities. Example is mutual fund, pension fund. These are purchasing some securities on the pooling of deposit or money from the investor. They are acquiring some securities as in the form of investment. Remember that in the case of investment company, they are putting the acquisition of securities for investment purpose. So fifth one is that loan companies. Here remember that the equipment leasing company, hire purchase finance company, and housing finance company. These three are not come under loan companies. These three are also providing loans and advances. In the case of equipment leasing company, they are providing advance while leasing an equipment. Hire purchase, they are providing loans and advances on hire purchase transaction. Housing finance company, they are providing loans and advances to housing project. These three are excluded from the definition of loan company. These are those financial institutions, they are providing loans and advances other than these three activities. The next one, mutual benefit companies. These mutual benefit companies are otherwise known as NIDHI, NIDHI, or mutual benefit societies. The important thing in the case of mutual benefit companies are that they're pooling small savings from members. It has some number of members. From the members, it pooled some money. While pooling such amount, the company has an objective. Why it is pooled? Having an objective, the company pooled small saving from members and putting to that objective. That is mutual benefit companies, otherwise known as NITIs or mutual benefit societies. Then seventh one is that residual non-banking companies or residuary non-banking financial companies. As pointed out in the definition, the second element of definition is that non-banking financial institutions are in the nature of companies which accept deposit in arrangement, in any scheme or any other mode, etc., or lending any other manner. So, if these institutions are doing such activities as stated in the definition, that is known as residuary non-banking companies, which receive deposit according to definition of non-banking financial company, which is given by Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. Last one is that miscellaneous non-banking companies. Miscellaneous non-banking financial companies. These are, in the case of miscellaneous non-banking companies, the financial institution act in the role of a promoter, foreman, or agent. Occupy the role of promoter, foreman, or agent For what purpose? For managing, conducting, or supervising any transaction or arrangement. If it is in the role of a promoter, foreman, or agent for conducting, managing, or supervising any transaction or arrangement. For example, in the form of chit or queries. For example, KSFE, they are doing some queries. So that is included under miscellaneous non-banking financial companies. These are different from as mentioned above. Okay, these miscellaneous non-banking companies are those companies which are not come under 1 to 7. Okay, that is the classification which is provided by Reserve Bank of India Amendment Act 1997. This is the classification. And in the year 1998, RBI reclassified these 8 into 4 categories. In 1998, RBI again reclassified these institutions into 4 categories by splitting or by combining one or more into one. The 8 is abolished, and since 1998, we have only 4 non-banking financial companies. First one, equipment leasing company, as the principal business of leasing of equipments. Hire purchase finance company, his principal business of providing financial assistance or engaging in hire purchase transactions. And third one, investment company, they are doing acquisition of securities. And last one, loan companies, they are providing loans and advances. If the financial institution is engaged in the business of providing loans and advances, it is come under loan companies. And again, 2006, the NBFCs are reclassified into 3 types. 1997, Reserve Bank Amendment Act classified NBFCs into 8 categories. Then 1998 again reclassified these 8 into 4 categories. And in 2006 again reclassified into 3 categories. That is asset finance company, investment companies, loan companies. Now we have only 3 classification: asset finance company, second one investment companies, and third one loan companies. In the case of asset finance company, we are merging the equipment leasing and hire purchase into one. In 1998 reclassification, we have equipment leasing and hire purchase. Separately, we are pointing equipment leasing companies, hire purchase company. But in 2006 reclassification, these two were merged. Equipment leasing and hire purchase leasing companies were merged, and we are taking asset finance company. It is renamed as asset finance companies. Then second one, investment companies. Third one, loan companies. Okay, now we have only 3 types of NBFCs, that is asset finance company, investment companies, and loan companies. In the case of asset finance companies, in the case of equipment leasing company, as we already discussed, the equipment leasing finance company, they are ready to finance leasing activities, or they are undertaking equipment leasing. Instead of providing financial assistance or providing loans and advances, they are leasing equipment to industrial unit. And in the case of hire purchase company also, they are directly or indirectly engaged in hire purchase transactions. They are providing loans and advances to hire purchase transactions, or they are directly engaged in hire purchase transactions. In the case of asset finance companies, these asset finance companies, they are financing physical assets. Okay, the primary function of asset finance companies are they are providing financial assistance, or they are financing physical assets which supports industrial activities. That's very important. The asset finance company finance a physical asset While financing such physical asset, the physical asset should be used for industrial activities or any economic activity. If they are kept idle, that is not come under asset finance company activity. So while providing loans and advances or while financing a physical asset, that physical asset must support an industrial activity or an economic activity or a productive activity. That means the financing should generate an additional revenue. If the asset finance company provides a financial assistance or provides loans and advances, that lending should generate additional revenue. It does not generate any additional revenue. That is not the function of asset finance company to finance a physical asset. So, if the company finance, the company provides finance. That providing should be in the nature of physical asset, and the physical asset should be used for any productive purposes or any economic activity. Here, productive purpose means generate additional revenue. If rupee 1 is put in a productive purpose, the output will not be never rupee 1. It must be more than 1. That is the productive use. Or it must be in the nature of economic activity. Here also economic activity also generate additional revenue. We can see an example to asset finance company, Sriram Finance Corporation Private Limited. Sriram Finance Corporation Private Limited. Raipur place Raipur ആണ്. This is the example to asset finance company, Sriram Finance Corporation Private Limited. They are engaging in financing of physical asset. Okay. And second one, investment company. As already pointed out, investment companies are those institutions which are engaged in acquisition of equity. Example is Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company Limited. An example to investment company. They are taking savings from savers, small savings from savers, and after pooling such savings, they are investing in shares, debentures, bonds, government securities, etc. On that saving, they are providing an insurance facility. This Bajaj Allianz General Insurance Company, if they are taking your savings, they are providing some insurance facility. Then loan companies. Main activity is providing loans and advances. In any other manner, they decide the manner in which they have to provide the loans and advances. They are providing some loans and advances. Then, for example, Bajaj Finance Limited, Tata Capital Financial Services Limited, Muthoot Finance. We have in every day we heard about Muthoot. Muthoot Finance is an example to loan companies. In our near place, we can see a branch of Muthoot. So Muthoot is a loan company. Example to loan company. Thank you. These are about today's session. If anyone has any doubt or need any clarification, please.
Miss, there is one question. How are NBFCs different from banks?
You have to point out all the points or the major or only the main points.
Main point. എന്താണ് മെയിൻ ആയിട്ടുള്ള എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഡിഫർ ചെയ്യുന്നത്?
Okay. These two, the banks as well as non-banking financial companies, these two come under financial institutions. As already pointed out, these two come under financial institutions. When we classify the financial institution into two categories, one is banking institution, other is non-banking institutions. In the case of banks, banks' main activity is accepting deposit from public. They are taking savings from public. And on such acceptance, they are providing loans and advances to general public. This is the main activity done by banks. They are taking savings from savers and putting the savings into investment in the form of deposits. On such deposit, after keeping certain sum with RBI, they are providing loans and advances. But in the case of NBFCs, these are doing some activities similar with banks. They're doing some activities similar with banks, but they are not doing same business bank. In certain cases, they are accepting money. To provide loans and advances, they are accepting money. In certain cases, they are lending out of their own funds. Okay, in order to act as an NBFC, it must have its own fund. In the case of banks, it is not necessary to have its own fund. But in the case of NBFCs, it has its own funds. That is the main difference. And second thing is that we can say in the case of banks, they can accept number of deposit, demand deposit, fixed deposit, recurring deposit, current deposit, etc. But in the case of non-banking financial institutions, they can't accept demand deposit since there is a time limit prescribed by RBI while accepting deposit. In the case of banks, no such prescription. But in the case of non-banking financial companies, minimum period is 12 months and maximum is 60 months. And the deposit of banks, it is insured. It is insured. No insurance coverage is available in the case of banks. That is the major differences. From the meaning and definition, we can derive number of differences.
Okay, ma'am. Another question. Do NBFCs need to be registered with RBI?
Yes, it is compulsory in order to act or function as like NBFCs. It is compulsory to register with RBI. While registering with RBI, the minimum owned fund, it must be minimum 200 lakhs. Otherwise, registration is not ready. There are certain guidelines on the registration. I am not going to the details. If you search in the site, you can trace the guidelines on the registration of NBFCs. There is a separate link for registering NBFCs.
Is there any category of NBFC that should not be registered in RBI? Is there?
No, in India, to act as an NBFC, to do the function of an NBFC, the first feature registration with RBI is mandatory. It is compulsory.
Okay.
If the RBI notice any such institution which is not registered with RBI, automatically it is abolished.
Okay. One more question. Whether all NBFCs accept public deposits?
No,
All
all are
NBFCs.
not accepting deposits. There are certain restrictions on accepting deposits. RBI put certain requirements to be fulfilled by NBFCs while accepting deposits. So AFCs are not accepting deposits. Asset finance company, they are not accepting deposits. Now we have only three classification: AFCs, investment companies, and last one loan companies. They are not, first one is not accepting deposits.
Okay, ma'am. I think the questions are over. No more questions are seen. So thank you, madam, for your wonderful session. And thanks to all the participants for kindly listening. Thanks to all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.